Hey, what do you know? This is the Melbourne Live show, and thank you for watching. Today, we want to talk about the whole concept of the accuracy of your understanding of reality. Now, I picked this up because I had been trying to build something, and that something is that 1 person, 1 million all digital business. And one of the key things that I did was I've been reading about people who have done that. I've been interviewing people who have done that. I have been observing people who have done that, which is built a 1 person, 1 million all digital business. And one of the thing that I realized that they have that I don't, it's this thing. Now, before I get into that, I just want to give you a quick update of what's going on today. Today has been a really, really productive day. I feel like, my level of energy has increased by 20 to 30%, primarily because of one thing that I did. And that one thing that I did was to adopt the idea of intermittent fasting. And so I have gone ahead and bought this app that it's able to help me do some of these things and to help me monitor and also to give me, prompts along the way to help me in managing the whole day itself. Now, in the past, thinking about fasting for 12 hours is something that is unthinkable. But, you know, I am shocked myself that today itself, I was not having any serious hunger pangs, and there was not even, an issue of having gastric um, and all that stuff. Because in the past, when I just miss a meal, for example, I would have, a gastric issue. But today, everything is good, and I am so happy. The energy level it's up, 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 and so that's something that I'm going to continue doing. Now, in addition to that, was that I have been also using this app called Purdue. And so if you have not checked it out, please do check it out. It's called Purdue.com. Now, Purdue is actually a software that helps you set OKR. If you're not familiar with OKR, it is about objectives and key results, of which I'm a huge proponent of. And in fact, for the school staff developer training, the virtual seminar, that's something that I will be covering this year. And so, I was using that app and it really got me hooked because every day I would have to do a check in. And once I do a check in, it really gets me going because of the data that I have been tracking, the right key data that I've been tracking. And that has really made me, you know, look ahead and stay focused on the price. And in addition to that, there are a lot of things happening here today. Um, and so I am so excited. Well, I hope the same is for you. I would like to hear, wherever you are, wherever you're watching from, please leave me a comment. Let me know where exactly you're watching from. And when I say where, tell me two things, right? Tell me one, which platform are you watching this live stream from? Because I'm streaming to four different places: Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, as well as Twitter. So let me know, which which platform are you watching from, and also which country are you watching from, right? I would like to know. And for those of you who have joined us for the first time, please, stay around because we're going to be talking about the accuracy of your mental model. Now, first and foremost, let me define a few things, right? So, what exactly is a mental model? Well, mental model, the easiest way to think about mental model, it's your representation, your understanding of how the world works, right? It essentially it's just that how the world works. So what do you believe to be true, how the world works, for example? So for instance, there are some people who believe that, if you start talking about what you do and you start giving away, sharing all your techniques, strategies, and your templates with the rest of the world, well, at the end of the day, you are people would just consume your content and they would not approach you, they will not buy from you, they will not consult you. In other words, if you give away everything that then people have no reason for wanting to pay you. And so that is the mental model that some people have. And, you can call it, um, scarcity thinking or fixed mindset or whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, that is their belief, that is their understanding of how the world works. Now, whether, so the end point is not whether, you know, this person's mental model is better than this other person's mental model. At the end of the day, the whole premise of it is that who has got a more accurate mental model of how the world works, right? And so that essentially is that representation. And so why mental model is important? Because, if I can share with you my story itself, I started as a one person business back in 2002. That seems like a long time ago, right? Back in 2002. So next year, I'm coming up to 2 decades of being a one person business, right? And in the process of being a one person business itself, I built, and within a short period of time, I was able to scale my business, this one person business, to a six-figure annual revenue business. Now, during the time I was working with someone, I had someone who kind of helped me with the business itself, but essentially, it was a one person business. Now, the whole journey was enjoyable primarily because, I enjoyed the work that I was doing. I was effectively engaged, not just, um, in terms of my time, but in terms of my thinking as well. I was always pushing myself. I was always thinking about, how could I come up with a better way, a different way, a refreshing way, a more effective way to teach and to consult and to share with my clients itself. And so the whole process was really, really enriching and really, really fascinating for me. Now, what happened next was that, I began to build such a great reputation whereby, more than 80% of the businesses that comes in were all via referral. So people kind of know me and they would refer their friends and their associates and their colleagues to me. And so very soon I was working with many schools, and in the process itself, I have built quite a reputation. And, you know, I was enjoying my life because I was making good money. Two, I was, effectively engaged in my work, right? And three, I was having a good time, right? Essentially, I could enjoy the very freedom that I've always wanted. And the freedom is, you want to do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it with whoever you want to do it with for however long you want to do it. And so, the greatest testimony of this whole journey itself was in 2016 when my wife and I we decided to take our family on a 1 year travel adventure. And in that 1 year travel adventure itself, we visited 13 countries and 46 cities, right, in the US as well as Europe. So that 1 year of traveling with my wife and my two young children at the time, was just an eye opener. And so to think about, the fact that I was um, making good money, I was engaged, I was able to enjoy my life. I was really enjoying the work, enjoying my life. And on top of that, I was able to afford to take a 1 year, off to just do that itself, right? And and so, but one thing that still really, really hold me back, one thing that really, really, eludes me is that, no matter what I do, I could never break through to that seven-figure mark. And that pisses me off, right? That pisses me off. And so I've always been on that quest to look for a way to achieve that seven-figure mark. And I didn't want to do it the conventional way. I want to do it by leveraging digital. I want to do it by leveraging the internet. And the reason for doing that, it's mainly because I want to be able to operate from anywhere in the world. I want to operate from anywhere in the world. And as long as I have an internet access, I want to be able to operate from that premise itself. And so, so the whole idea of, building this one person all digital business was so fascinating to me that I, embarked on this quest back in 2015. I started looking, I started doing lots of work, and in the process itself, as I mentioned earlier, I spoke to many people, and I interviewed some of them, I spoke to some of them became my good friends, and they were giving me advice, and I read about all these people, and I also observed about what these people do. And and then that one thing that I recognized that they had that I did not have was that they had a more accurate interpretation of how the world works. And so I sum it all up into these two words called mental model. And I've always been fascinated about mental model because, I've always asked myself, why is it that someone else could think or could see things that, we can't see, right? So for example, when people look at let's say the taxi industry, for example, right? People see you and I see, and we say that, well, it is what it is, right? But it takes a few people to think differently and to be able to see the opportunity and to be able to understand, to leverage. So that is really intelligent opportunism, to be able to leverage the existing technology, the technology of the day, to leverage that and to be able to use it and create a totally new industry or to disrupt the existing one. So, you have things like Airbnb, you have things like Uber, and those are great, great examples itself. So I've always been fascinated about, why is it that some of these people could see those kind of opportunities, whereas the rest of us can't? And as I go on this search itself, one of the main things that I really found out was that, these people have that ability to look at that, partly it's because of their educational background, right? And so, as I think about it more, I'm like, well, does it mean that you have to go to an Ivy League school or you have to be in a particular type of school? If you're not from that kind of school, does it mean that you will not be able to achieve that level of thinking? And obviously, that's not true. So, education aside, now the other one, it's some people say that, well, it's fundamentally because of their network, right? The environment itself. And then when I look at some of these people, some of them are, adopted child of a truck driver, and some of them are like, a pastor in church who adopted these two kids, for example. And so, there isn't quite a definitive make in terms of environment itself. So, someone growing up in a household whereby, the parents are not entrepreneur, uh, or the parents are just, regular people itself, and yet they are able to see the kind of opportunity that you and I can't, right? And so, education out, environment out. Now, then the next thing, I came to was that perhaps it is about the exposure, right? Because I mean, some of these people have got the exposure to some of the industry of the inroads of this industry itself, so perhaps they have a better understanding of how the world works. And then I look at some of those people. Really, I mean, they do not have that kind of experience and that ability to have the kind of exposure to that kind of environment itself. So, once again, that it's out of the question. And so that led me to think like, what it's the thing that allows them to have this different way of thinking. And obviously what you want to do is you want to take away, their intelligence, their experience, their education, their exposure out of the equation. Now, once all that is out of the equation, I think we are all in a position whereby we are able to adopt or achieve that level of thinking. So, what are some of the ways that we can actually do that? Well, I think, well, I don't profess to have all the answers here, but I think I'm onto something, right? And the thing that I observe essentially is that these people, right? These people, primarily number one, these people have got an insatiable amount of curiosity. They're curious about things that is going on around them. They're curious about what's going on, and they want to know more. And because they're curious, they do not take things as is. They start questioning. They start asking questions. They start, you know, um, looking at why is this way, refusing to cave into the norm of the day, the conventional wisdom, and just, you know questioning things, right? Being curious, questioning things. And I think that's one of the first thing that that they have. Now, in addition to questioning, I mean, you and I can go ahead and question something, but that doesn't mean that it's going to give us that breakthrough insight. And I think, the first thing about questioning thing is that you ask, why is it that way? But more importantly, the follow-up question is, what if, right? What if we can do it in a different way? What if we could do it in a way that has never been done before? What if we are able to redesign the whole experience itself? What if, right? And 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 these people ask relentlessly. They keep asking, they keep exploring, and they keep trying. And the other aspect that these people have, this characteristic that these people have, is that they do not give up. They keep on experimenting. They keep on chipping at the problem. So I always recall this saying that the reason why I'm more successful than most is because I stay on the problem longer. So if we can streamline it down to three key factors itself, first is that these people have that disposition of curiosity. They ask, they question, they do not assume, they do not take things as it is, right? So that's the first fundamental characteristics about them. They question, they question everything, just like a 3-year old, just like a 4-year old, for example. The next thing that they do is they dream, right? They dream, they think about what if this can be done? What is something that new way that can be done, right? And then of course the last thing is that they start implementing and they start executing and they collect data and they start looking at the data, looking at the feedback from the data itself, that constant feedback loop, and then they kind of readjust their strategies, their action, and then along the way they get faster and faster and they build their momentum, they build their flywheel, and then they achieve their goal. Now, what has all this got to do with live stream? Now, first and foremost, I think the fundamental question that we have to ask ourselves is that, you know, what is a way that we have never thought about doing business, right? For example, why does it have to be that, you and I have to be in the same room in order for business to be done? Now, over here in Singapore, it drives me crazy because there are still some people who just insist on meeting up. They just insist on meeting up, and they are, if they do not meet up, they find that it just cripple them, right? And it drives me crazy every time they want to meet you and they want to see you in person itself. And the whole idea of traveling, it's the commute is just not productive for everyone, right? And so the the way we want to think about this is that, why does it have why is it that business have to be done that way? Is there not a better way? Is there not a different way? Is there not a refreshing way? Are we not leveraging? How can we, you know are we not leveraging some of the technology that we have here, right? And then to think about, what if we could use this technology? What if I could use this platform and to be able to achieve my goal, right? To be able to create my own show, my own channel, my own studio, right? And then of course after that, it's really relentlessly executing on it every single. That is where you would be able to get the definitive guide. So head on down to livestream.rocks, get your A to Z guide on live streaming in 2021, and make sure you get that. And thank you so much. I think I might have some network problem here today. In any case, I thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye bye.